Me, academics was always the first thing. When I got to Madison, I was playing basketball. People were just like, yo, you wanna go to school for free, play football? I was like, man, I'm too small to play football. They started showing me guys my height and size that could play football. I said, fine, if it's gonna get me a scholarship. Coach Ishmael, Coach Wayne Yearwood, who was a Madison grad, All-American at Hofstra, he took me under his wing. Before I knew it, I was in college playing college football. I broke the PSAL record for receiving yardage. I averaged 30 yards a catch in high school. 26 catches, 831 yards, 15 touchdowns. Maryland came down, looked me in the eye and said, you're too small. Coach Ty Willingham saw my film, came down and said, you're too small. Stony Brook offered me a partial scholarship to play slot, and I was left with a partial from Stony Brook and a partial from Hofstra. Although I had an 86 average, 12-10 on the SAT math verbal, I was extremely fast. I was an all-city player, all-state, didn't matter. I was from Brooklyn, I was too small, they didn't give a damn. First year at Hofstra, I hated it. I went from being the man in the PSAL, I was a walk-on. So since I was a walk-on, everybody was giving me the business. Like, you're not a scholarship kid. So they're looking at all the kids they give money to. So it don't matter how many touchdowns you score in practice, it don't matter how many one-hand grabs you have, they're gonna get the Joe Schmo from Jersey who's 6'2", 215 pounds. He can drop 1,000 balls. They're gonna keep giving him opportunities. With that being said, I hated it. All I did was bust my butt. I worked hard. They ended up offering me a scholarship before the beginning of my freshman year because I worked my tail off. I went to Hofstra in the spring. I was there every day going into the summer. I worked my tail off. They offered me a scholarship, but I'm gonna be perfectly honest, man. I didn't think I was gonna play in the NFL, and I didn't even want to try. I watched the NFL draft, and I watched how many small, undersized guys got looked over, and I said, you know what? Why would I do that to myself? Let me focus my energy on something that I really want to do. My receiver coach, Jamie Elizondo, I'll never forget, he's on the phone with me, he said, Deval, if you quit football and don't give the NFL a shot, you're gonna regret it for the rest of your life. And I was like, you know what, he may be right. He may be right. I sat there on draft day watching everybody else's name get called except mine. That Tuesday, the Lions called and said, we want to bring you in for a free agent tryout. My agent said, you can go in as a free agent tryout. There's no contract, there's no guarantee. You got to sign a waiver that if you get hurt, that you won't sue, and that'll be it. He said, that's all I got for you. You want to take it, you can take it. I said, that's all I got, that's all I need. I went to rookie minicamp, and I freaking balled out. I came back with a 3-year contract, and that's how I got my shot in the NFL. First year in the NFL, you want to talk about politics. I hated it. I went out there and bust my ass, man, every day. I didn't drop any passes, returned 2 punts in the preseason. I did everything I was supposed to do, and I got cut. I got put on the practice squad. They ended up activating me. I actually played so well that I got activated in the 6th game of the season. I returned punts and kicks. I led them in punt return yardage and kick return yardage the last game of the season. And the sad thing is that your job is not guaranteed. So you wake up every day feeling like this could be my last day at work. I'm talking about you go out on Sunday and you catch 3 passes and you like, I made 2 tackles. You walk in on Monday, they're working out 10 more receivers that got released from other teams. That was every day for me in the NFL. I played 3.5 years in the NFL. 3.5 years in the NFL. I loved everything the NFL offered me. You know, I have a nest egg, a foundation to start my business. I was able to buy some property. The business acumen I was able to develop, dealing with contracts, dealing with people.
There you go, step up.
You know, starting companies. I learned a lot while playing in the NFL.
Here we go.
I met a lot of great people.
Come on, fight
it
through
just
it.
inspired me that when I was ready to start my life in towards television, it gave me that ammunition I needed to move forth and be successful. I like having a platform to discuss what I've been through in my life. I feel like you may not have a bunch of LeBron James walking around Brooklyn, but you can have a Deval Ellis. You can have a hard-working guy who's average height, who dedicates himself to the books, who can be successful playing athletics, maybe just college, maybe a little beyond college, but develop his own program, develop his business. I feel like there's tons of kids around Brooklyn who are doing that, and I feel like media is my way of delivering that message. One word, Deval Ellis. Unfinished. Unfinished.
Great piece. Also, before we get to our conversation, I want to congratulate Earl Newman
on his light heavyweight title win in Atlantic City at the Sands Hotel. He won by technical knockout, so hopefully he's on his way to a light heavyweight title. Right now, you know, summer is over and fall is here. We're going to talk about about young athletes, how they fare in the fall, especially when it comes to recruiting. And also joining me is Deval Ellis, who's also live and in person, was just on the set. What did you think about your piece?
I didn't get a chance to actually hear it, but I'm excited to see it, man. It was great from what I saw so far, but I'm trying to get focused on what we have going on today.
All right, and also Chris Legree, founder of the Mo Better Jaguars. Matter of fact, you're up on the 20th anniversary, right? Because you got started because of what?
The Million Man March.
That's happening October 10th.
It's coming up.
All right, my brother, that's good. Right now, we want to talk about what's happening so far this football season. You know, it seems like Tottenville and several other schools, we have like a three-way tie right now in first place.
Well, I always think it's too early to anoint anyone. Injuries really haven't happened. Usually every season you get key injuries, and that always factors in later. But from early assessment, Tottenville is a very well-coached team, and they play inside-out line play. Right. Grand Street is an explosive team who shows inconsistencies at times because they do make penalties. Because
right now in the we have like a four-way tie. We have Tottenville, Grand Street, Midwood, and South Shore. And speaking of South Shore, this weekend they are going to honor you, right? Because you played at South Shore about several years ago back in the...
You're going to date me, but it's okay.
But they're going to honor you. You were a quarterback and you went to Maine, University of Maine.
No, I went to University of Pitt. My son went to Maine, but they're going to retire my number 18. Also, my brother Rick is coming in from California. Here's my receiver. They're going to honor his number 40. We were both all-city players in 1973, and we're very proud and honored.
All right. Well, congratulations. You know, there's other issues out there that's on the horizon, and ethics when it comes to recruiting young athletes, especially at the youth football league, youth football level. And allegedly, a lot of these high school coaches are out there like bees, looking for the next honey that can really be a part of their program.
Well, I've said it a ton of times. The biggest recruitment isn't of Pop Warner kids. The biggest recruitment is Pop Warner coaches. A lot of the people on these high school staffs are going out and recruiting Pop Warner coaches to be on their staff because that's their inside track to developing athletes from early ages of 9 years old. Now you got coaches that are mentoring these guys from 9 all the way to 13, and you can start chirping their ear from the time they're 9. You're only going to this school, you're only going to this school. And a lot of these athletes, they don't have male figures. 75% of the kids that I train come from single-parent homes that are, single moms. And the only male figures they have in their life are these coaches, and those are the guys they listen to from early.
Well, at Mo Better, we have an expression that kids don't sign themselves into schools, and that points directly to the parents. A lot of the single moms that he just described are manipulated, really, and they just don't know better.
How are they manipulated?
They don't know better, and they're manipulated by dreamy.
I mean, does the coach, for example, from any particular high school, we won't name high schools, but does he say, hey, you know what, I could get your kid, he comes to my school, I could promise him that he'll receive a D1 scholarship to
Well,
Syracuse,
I mean, a lot of it, some of it is that, but my biggest issue, well, not issue, but it's for the fact that if you're a single mom and you have a son who's 9 to 13 and you want to get him around some testosterone, quote unquote, toughen him up, you bring him to a sport like football to get toughened up, and you entrust these guys that they have your son's best interest at heart. So realistically, the manipulation is not done to get the kid. They already have the kid. The mom has already turned the kid over. It's that point where they take those advantages and they place the kid at a school that they want to, to help build a program. And the thing that bothers me the most is a lot of these guys jump from school to school.
Who jumps?
A lot of these assistant coaches. They'll work for, they'll be a coach at a little league program and a JV coach, quote unquote, for a high school program. 1 year they're at this program, next year you're at a different program.
Okay, I mean that's, but does that coach have a right to move around? After, because that's the American way, right? That's what
Absolutely.
There's
nothing really binds them.
Right.
Absolutely.
But I think in that lies the fault of it all.
Right.
There's no real commitment.
Right.
First things first, we talking about kids. Their education is the most important thing in their life. And I think when you dilute that we talk about athletic ability. Most of these kids won't play Division I college football like you did, okay? Right. They won't. I want to send my kid to a school when he finishes junior year, tell me he's going to be SAT ready.
Right.
Tell me things like that. But again, the parents who are not well versed on the process, they get misled.
Take my parents, for example. I didn't play football until I was a junior in high school. My parents knew nothing about the recruiting process, NCAA clearinghouse, being eligible. They had no clue. So it was really dependent upon my head coach and my position coach to get me ready. And one of the things that bothers me is that a lot of these coaches, especially in the PSAL, don't understand the clearinghouse, period. There may be a handful that understand how to get kids eligible. For example, my brother Brian went through this. He was taking the Math A and Math B. Math A and Math B in 2003 changed to Math 1 and Math 2. Math 1 and Math 2 was not registered under the NCAA clearinghouse. No one in his school did the research to find out if he was going to be eligible with those two classes.
So there's not an athletic counselor that can assist them?
And this is the thing. Okay. There's no accountability for anyone in the building to make sure that these kids are eligible to play. And like Coach said, majority of these kids are not going to play Division I college football. I tell my kids all the time, there's the 1%. And that the 1%, the bottom line is they can get to Division I at any school. Take a Eshak Williams, 6'5", 240. A Curtis Samuel, 5'11", 185, ran a 4.3 in the 40. Taysir Mack. These kids could go to any school and make it to a Division I because they're the 1% athleticism that they're looking for.
Are we talking about then sports reform? Does the system need to be changed from within
Absolutely.
and on the outside?
Without a doubt.
Because is that the problem? This has been going on for years. I mean,
Absolutely.
this has been going on since the 70s. I mean, since the 60s, right?
Listen,
it's an ongoing problem.
Rob just made a great point, and it's one word: accountability. It's the bottom line. In every school, there should be a compliance person.
Yes.
Like
who deals with these changes.
Level, right?
Exactly.
That's all they do.
Exactly. We were just talking outside in the green room. A kid today can play in the PSAL and stay eligible. The minimum eligible requirements for 4 years and won't graduate.
Be all city, be a dominant athlete, maybe even all state, but then not graduate at the end of the year. How could you be eligible to play a sport, but then not eligible to graduate? And a lot of the coaches, and I've heard coaches say this, well, I can't kick a kid off for bad grades because if he's not on my team, then he can be out in the gang somewhere doing something, and I get that.
Right.
But then now that you've taken on this job, there's a responsibility and there's a standard that has to be set, and there's no one holding these coaches accountable.
So are we talking also about a sports reform in the DOE, Department of Education, and the public school athletic
league? No, we're talking
or
about from the top. From the top. The first thing is that, and we've talked about this, there's a gap. There's a gap. And the bottom line is they don't care about our kids. They don't, because they don't live in our communities. Who from the DOE that makes decisions on PSAL live in East New York, Brooklyn, live in Flatbush, live in Canarsie?
Is this a complexion problem? I mean, because you don't have to identify you don't have to have the complexion to have the connection to also understand the issues, right?
I think it's a socioeconomic problem because there are not only black athletes playing in the PSAL. I think it's a thing where we have a lot of athletes in the PSAL from disenfranchised neighborhoods. The people who are making decisions are not or no longer from disenfranchised neighborhoods. They don't understand the plight of these young men and women that go to school on a daily basis who are trying to fight for their way out. And if sports is their only way out, they take it seriously. And I think the people who are making decisions up there don't understand the magnitude of the things that they're doing to our kids to hold them back. I really don't think so. We're the only league in the tri-state area don't play on TV. Long Island plays, Jersey plays, Connecticut plays on TV. We don't play on TV. Why?
I like what you just said. I think our real job is to make them realize it's really not their only way out, but it's a way out. In other words, there's doors that can open just getting a good education and meeting the right people. There's so many ways to be successful in our society, but I think we got to change the culture a little bit.
Do we also have to change the culture as far as just sticking to football and sports as a way out?
No, I think it's good. It's good extracurricular activity.
I agree.
But the lesson, see, it's coaching too. What are you teaching really?
Right.
You got to teach life lessons,
right,
like preparation and accountability. That's what he just said, accountability. That's good in all aspects of your life. So I really think we got to look at what's being taught, and the accountability factor is critical. It's really critical that we improve these guys as people.
I'll give you an example how football changed my life. Growing up, I was always the oldest. It was always about me. I had to take care of my brother, take care of my sister, so it always became about me. I was a very me person. And I played basketball. I was a very good basketball player. When the game got tight, it was give me the ball, let me do what I do. In football, I learned very early,
integral part.
There's no me in football. I played receiver. The center has to get the ball to the quarterback. The quarterback has to get the ball to me. Linemen have to block. So I learned team.
It's just like it here. You have your camera people, you have your directors. It's all a team
Sports
effort.
teach that.
However, transferring seems to be a big issue also. And I know we have a big case coming up pretty soon on Friday. Hopefully we will come back and discuss that also sometime soon.
Well, I mean, with the transferring situation, I'm going to be very honest. Social media plays a huge part of the transferring process, and a lot of it has to do with accountability. For example, back in the day when I was in high school, there was no Instagram, Facebook, all the other things that were going on in other high schools. I had no clue what was going on. All I knew was my little Golden Knight Madison world. But now when you're a kid in 2015 and you're at a Madison, for example, and you go on Facebook and you see XYZ schools going to Rutgers, XYZ schools going to Ohio State, you know, they have this many kids that are being recruited by that college. It kind of makes you wonder, well, what are we doing here at my little school that I'm not at that level? And kids are interacting. You get instant access to people.
But certain schools in the PSA are pretty successful, right? I mean, you have Grand Street, they're doing a heck of a job, right? You have also some schools in maybe Lincoln High School, perhaps, also, and also schools in Staten Island, perhaps.
Well, truth be told, Michael, if you look at all the winning teams, they get transfers every year.
Every year, all of them.
Now, what kind of transfers, that's another story. Every case is different. The system itself, if you look at the bylaws of the deal, it's set up such that you do have flexibility and you do have movement every year with kids for various reasons. I don't want to get into the technical part. Listen, my family, we got a 50-year association with the PSL, for example. We have 5 or 6 all-city players in my family play. Nobody never transferred, okay? But you know just recently we had one, and it's caused a
And in America, you have a right to move. And you have the right,
yes.
You know, but you're in the right to freedom. But unfortunately, in this country, freedom costs. And the thing is, are you willing to pay the price? Because unfortunately, you know, people pay the price for us to be where we are today, right? And I got to end on that note, gentlemen.